I am
The mission of the TEA project is really to inspire curiosity, because when we're not curious, we're hardened in our beliefs, we're hardened in kind of the prejudices that we have about everybody else. And the second that you take a moment and say, okay, if you're not that, well then what are you? Who are you?
Right after 9/11, the way I was walking in the world and perceived in the world was different immediately. The venom that people can just share with their eyes was what was so scary, and I just had too many people just stare at me and glare at me for too long that I stopped taking the subway for a while.
Sandeep is another individual that we were lucky enough to interview. We sat for about an hour and he told some amazing stories, but he told us the story about what happened to him after 9/11 when he was in the airport.
Well, Detention is basically about this young college student who's trying to go on spring break, and he gets detained in the airport.
February 2002 was the first time I took a flight after 9/11. When I sat down at the gate, just a few minutes later, a group of soldiers in the fatigues came up to me, and there's a guy in a suit, and he said,
I need you to follow me.
What's wrong?
Come with me, sir.
Remove the hat.
You can't wear that here.
It's a religious right.
Meanwhile, there's people all around, and I saw one woman with her child like pointing at me, and I sort of got the gist of it, that look, there's a terrorist being caught, and I saw another person taking pictures of me, and
People were staring,
Like I'm just doing my job.
laughing.
We got one.
I tried to ignore them, but
You
Look
can't
at
wear
him.
that
Speak
here.
English,
It's
please.
inside. They're safe inside.
I'm just doing my job.
I'm an American!
and the person in the suit said,
Passport.
Excuse me?
Your passport, let's see it.
I said, I can't give you one of my most important documents just willy-nilly. You're gonna have to give me an explanation. Could you just stop? You just have to give us your passport. And I realized, I was like, I have no option. I have no other choice than to give you my passport, because you have 6 armed men surrounding me.
He took my passport and he started asking me all these questions like, where was
are
I
you
from? Where was
were
I
you
born? Where was
Where are
I
you
going?
going?
Why?
And they just kept asking me question after question and repeating them. Where were you born? What city did you grow up in? And at some point I was like, you are clearly trying to trip me up when you're not gonna. There's no tripping me up. I'm telling you the truth. I'm just a regular kid. I'm an NYU student. I'm going away on spring break. There's nothing weird about this story.
I stood there, surrounded in the middle of the airport for 2 hours. 2 hours of people pointing, laughing, whispering, taking pictures. 2 hours of people showing their kid what a terrorist looks like, and I felt ashamed. I felt ashamed for something that I hadn't even done.
I think people should really understand that deep down, I'm just sort of just a white kid. Though I appear different on the outside and I do have different experiences, I watched Growing Pains growing up. I ate Fruit Loops. I played Nintendo.
Finally, they cleared me. They gave me back my passport, no apology, and I booked the next flight out. And when I sat back down at the gate, everyone sitting around me, they got up and they left. And I thought, so this is how it's going to be.
I think that was my first window into what it was like to be a black American. The sense of unease everywhere, and the sense of just intolerance, and just, nobody's getting me, and wanting to be only with my own. I got that.
I'm not even Muslim. I'm Sikh. And my friends, they asked me, why didn't you just tell them you're not Muslim? But what then? Does that make it okay?
Being lumped in with Muslims is actually a funny thing, because people often say, well, why don't you just tell everyone you're not Muslim, you're Sikh? Why should I allow somebody to be racist against a Muslim but not against a Sikh? Why should I differentiate myself? What next? Why should I should say, no, I'm a Sikh, but go be racist towards that Muslim down the street? No.
And that's one of the few stories, I think really the only story in Under the Veil, in our play, that is almost verbatim. That story just was encapsulated in such a sort of dramatic and clear way, this idea of it affects everybody, and what do you do with it?
Look into my eyes, tell me what you see. Look into my eyes and see me. Not what you've been told, not some fantasy. Look into my eyes and